everybody. Thank you so much for joining me for this month's Stretch the Sketch. You can see the sketch there in the upper left-hand corner. When I looked at this sketch, I thought right away that this sketch would be perfect to extend into a two-page spread. I used to do two-page spreads a lot, but I haven't been doing them as often. The main thing that I took from the sketch was the idea of having a smaller photo and then a larger photo lined up in the center of the page. So I not only have that on the left-hand page, I extended it into the right-hand page with two pictures on that page as well. I also have some strips that are going to go across the whole two-page spread from one side of the photos to the other side of the photos, and that I'm going to be making with these waves. So I took out this older punch, and this paper is a Heidi Swapp paper. I bought this at Tuesday Morning, one of those packs of 25 papers, and I really have gotten a lot of use out of this paper. It's a dark blue on one side, and then a very pretty lighter blue with a lot of variation and texture to it on the other side. It's subtle, but I feel like it really adds a lot to the paper. So my idea was to make strips of the waves, and I tried making that dark blue strip. I tried seeing how that would look if that went in the other direction, and I don't know, I just didn't like the way that it looked, so I decided to just make all the waves go in the same direction. And now I'm attaching them down to this piece of paper that I'm not going to be using. It's an old, very, very old paper, and I just wanted to be able to move all of the waves together as a unit. So I attached that down to that paper just to make it a little bit easier for me. And I want to also have the strips on the bottom. My strips look a little bit different than the ones in the sketch, but it was the perfect, jumping off point for me to get the idea to make the layout the way that I did. So now I have everything attached to that one piece of paper, and I'm going to go back in and attach my photos using ATG adhesive. And I just decided to switch those two photos because I felt that because my daughter was, my younger daughter who's in the black shirt, I feel like she was really bending down toward the right, so I felt like that picture would be better off facing the right. And then I'm going to repeat the same concept on the left-hand side, but I'm not going to go all the way across the page, just to the end of the photos. So now I am repeating the same idea on the right-hand side. I have the light blue, the dark blue, and then the light blue wave again, but I accidentally put the strip that I wanted to put on the top on the bottom, that light blue strip. So you can see now there's a gap between the photo and the blue paper. So now I have to go back in and just relayer everything. And there's a lot of ripping that takes place, but luckily nothing that's going to show. So it ended up working out just fine. I didn't have to recut anything. And I just continue working on the right-hand page until it matches the style of the left-hand page. The photos that you see here, these are pictures that were taken quite a few years ago at a beach in Cape Cod, Massachusetts called First Encounter Beach. And it's super cool because at this beach, or in this part of the shoreline, I should say, the tide will go all the way out. I think it might go out a mile, or at least almost a mile. And so you can walk across the sand, and it's almost like a giant tide pool almost, that there's puddles and places where the creatures are still there. There's crabs, all kinds of cool things. It's really neat. So we have gone there every year that we've gone to Cape Cod. I didn't mention that the name of this collection is called Splash by Little Yellow Bicycle. It's a very, very old collection, and I bought it when it was an old collection. I saw it and went back and tried to gather all the pieces of it I could from anyone who was still selling it. And I have been totally hoarding this collection. I love it. I'm trying to decide what kind of a border color to add. And you could see just for a second, I don't know if you saw that, my daughter's finger in there. My older daughter often helps me when I need some perspective on my layouts. She'll She's really good with this stuff, so she helps me to decide on colors and composition. She's just like my scrapbooking consultant. So I cut this, you could see that cut file that I just had, that was like the scrap that was left over. I cut that out using a Paige Evans cut file. I'll put the number of it in the description box. It's from the Silhouette shop. And I also did an offset with some of the pattern papers. The offset didn't end up working too well. The papers were too small and the machine was kind of going crazy with them. So I ended up cutting a lot of those out by hand. But you could see that I traced around, with a pencil, I traced around the inside of what was left of that cut file. And now I'm just reassembling the pattern that is made by the cut file. So I'm putting all these little pieces in there. And now I'm erasing some of the pencil lines so that, you won't be able to see them on the final layout. And I was definitely inspired by Allison Davis from Scrapbook Generation. I have seen her use this kind of splash look on her layouts. And she also makes, I don't know if you're familiar with Scrapbook Generation, they design a lot of two-page spreads. So I do get a lot of inspiration from my two-page spreads from Scrapbook Generation. I'm doing the same thing now on the left, although I'm not using the whole cut file, and this was printed a little bit smaller than the one on the right. I'm just using a section of the cut file, and then I'm just going to put parts of it together, some on the bottom and some on the top. I don't include all of this process because it's very repetitive, but I'm using the pencil lines, and I'm also using the negative cut file, what's left over after you cut out the pieces, and I'm using both of those things to locate the correct pieces that go in each spot, and I just glued them down using my ATG gun, and I'm using that eraser again to get rid of the pencil lines once I don't need them anymore. And yeah, it was just like putting a puzzle together. I was just piecing it together, and I was pretty happy with the way that the colors popped off of the background. I didn't mount them on any foam or anything, but I do feel like you could definitely see where the splashes are, and I feel like that was the blue outline really helped with that. And then I just added a couple that were left over because I didn't use the whole design. I used parts of it, and there were some parts I cut out that I didn't use, so I added a couple of little things to the splash on the bottom. And now I'm putting photo corners just on the larger photos that have the green backing. One side is blue, one side is orange, so here I'm just trying to decide what color I want each one to be. I decided to make the center one the blue side and then the orange color for the other photo corners. And then I just attach all them down with ATG adhesive. I just love adding photo corners to the pictures on the layout. I love the way it's a little added pop of color and the way it just kind of gives it a finishing touch. This was the day after I had started the layout, and when I looked at it the next morning, I decided that these blue splashes, they matched in too much with the waves that are on the background, and I felt like it kind of made it unclear exactly what was happening in those two spots. So I decided to take the blue color off and replace it with a color that would stand out a little bit more. And so I just used the pieces that I took off to use as a guide for what shape to make the new pieces. And so I made one with that white and blue pattern paper, and then I made an orange one as well. And then I thought that I could use another little splash up on top. And at first I cut out the background, and then I realized it'd be a lot easier to cut out the center and then make a blue border second. So that's what I ended up doing. And then I just repositioned some of those splashes to fit in that new one. And that's why I love using ATG adhesive. It really helps with moving things around later on, and I can be indecisive or I can revised my design many times, so I like to take advantage of the fact that it's repositionable. Now I'm working on the title. The layout will be called First Encounter Beach. Not the most original title in the world, but it works. I wanted there to be a long title to go along the bottom because the big green rectangle on the right-hand side of the layout, I felt it needed to be balanced by more of the same color green. So I wanted there to be kind of a big strip of the green paper on the bottom. And the plan is to cut that piece of paper after where it says encounter. And here you can see the placement of the title. And you can see how I feel you kind of needed some more of that green. There was a lot of green on the right. There was a little bit of green on the rest of the page, but not enough to really balance that big area of green. So once I put the title down, I took it back up again because I wanted to add some navy blue to the as a border around it, just to make it stand out a little more. This is a simple story paper. I got a pack of 25 of this navy paper at Tuesday Morning, and I'm so glad. I got a couple of packs, actually. They had tons of them, and I'm so glad I did because I'm already using it quite a bit. And the letters that I use to spell out First Encounter Beach are from Pinkfresh. They are a Puffy alpha sticker from the collection My Favorite Story, and I got those in a grab box from Pinkfresh Studio around Black Friday time that I absolutely loved. Now I'm adding something that I also absolutely love. I purchased these iridescent dots in Hobby Lobby, and they only had one pack of them. But I'm being very careful not to hoard them. I love them. I think they'll work really well with this layout, so I'm just going for it and putting them all down. My only complaint was that if you tried to pick them up, the pearl would come up or the dot would come up, but the sticky dot that was underneath it, that stayed down. So you really had to kind of be careful of where you put them because it was really hard to get them back up again along with the sticky dot. But it all worked out. Now I'm adding some rhinestones. These rhinestones are in a little water droplet shape, so I thought that would be perfect to add in with the splashes. And those are from a company called the Eyelet and Brad Outlet. I hope I have that right. And I see them every year at the Scrapbook shows. Well, not every year because we didn't have it this year, but I purchased those probably a couple of years ago there. You can order them online if you're interested. But I also noticed that Dollar Tree has a set of stickers that has a blue version of this exact shape. So you could get that there too. So now I'm going back in again with those dots, those iridescent dots, and I'm putting some more dots within the splashes. I was kind of putting them on the outside of the cluster, but now I'm thinking that I want to have some on the inside as well. You can see there the dots stayed down, so I just changed the size of the dot. Now, I have been hoarding these stickers. These stickers are also from the Little Yellow Bicycle Splash collection. There weren't many embellishments that I was able to get my hands on, but I did find this one set, and I've been hoarding them for years. So I finally just put those down on a layout. Now to add a little something to the photo corners, I'm using a strip of teeny, teeny, tiny little jewels that I got from a local dollar store. And that is the last touch on my layout. Thank you so much for watching Stretch the Sketch, everybody. Please look in the description box. There's a whole bunch of other wonderful videos from some fabulous ladies who are playing along with this same challenge. I hope if you liked this video, you'll give it a thumbs up and think about subscribing to my channel. For my current subscribers, I want to say thank you so much for watching my videos and for your likes and for all of the really sweet, lovely comments that you've left for me. That really makes my day to get those comments. Thank you so much, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.